My mother passed away on the 23rd of March, 1998, during the night. And the following morning, I got up very early and drove up to her hometown about 100 miles away to inform her best friend what had happened. And I went to the nursing home and did that. And then I drove over the hill another 20 miles to where her last first cousin was living. And this is an account of that meeting with her cousin Pearl. Elkader, Iowa, a morning in March. The Turkey River running brown and wrinkly from a late spring snow in Minnesota. A white two-story house on Mulberry Street, windows flashing with sun. And I had come 100 miles to tell our cousin Pearl that her childhood playmate, Vera, my mother, had died. I knocked and knocked at the door with its lace-covered oval of glass, and at last she came from the shadows and with one finger hooked the curtain aside, peered into my face through her spectacles, and held that pose, a grainy family photograph that could have been that of her mother. I called out, "Pearl, it's Ted, it's Vera's boy." And my voice broke, for it came to me, nearly 60, I was still my mother's boy, that boy for the rest of my life. Pearl, at 90, was 1 year older than Mother and a widow for 20 years. She wore a pale blue cardigan buttoned over a house dress, and she shook my hand in the tentative way of old women who rarely have hands to shake. When I told her that Mother was gone, that she died the evening before, she said she was sorry, that Vera wrote me a letter a while ago to say she wasn't good. We went to the kitchen and I sat at the table while she heated a pan of water and made us cups of instant coffee. She told me of a time when the two of them were girls and crawled out onto the porch roof to spy on my Aunt Mabel and a suitor who were swinging below. We got so excited we had to pee. And we couldn't wait and peed right there on the roof. And it trickled down over the edge and dripped in the bushes, but Mabel and that fella never heard. We took our cups into her living room where stripes from the drawn blinds draped over the World's Fair satin pillows. She took the couch and I took a chair across from her. "I've had some trouble with health myself," she said, taking off her glasses and wiping them. And I said she looked good, though. And she said, "I've started seeing people who aren't here. I know they're not real, but I see them the same. They come in the house and sit around and never say a word. They keep their heads down or cover their faces with cloths. I'm not afraid, but I don't know what they want of me. You won't be able to see, but one's right there on the staircase where the light falls through that window, a man in a light gray outfit." I turned to look at the landing, where a patch of light fell over the carpeted steps. Sometimes I think that my Max is with them. One seems to know his way around the house. What bothers me, Ted, is that they've started to write out lists of everything I own. They go from room to room, 3 or 4 at a time, picking up things and putting them back. I've talked to Wilson, the chiropractor, and he just says that maybe it's time for me to go to the nursing home. I asked her what a regular doctor said, and she said she didn't go there anymore, that he's not much good. "But surely there's medicine," I said, and she said maybe so. And then there was a pause that filled the room. After a while, we began to talk again of other things, and there were some stories we laughed a little over, and I wept a little. And then it was time for me to go to drive the long miles back, and she slowly walked me to the door and took my hand again, our warm, bony hands among the light hands of the shadows that reached to touch us but drew back. And I cleared my throat and said I hoped she'd take care of herself and think about seeing a real medical doctor. And she said she'd give some thought to that. And I took my hand from hers and waved goodbye, and the door closed. And behind the lace, the others stepped out of the stripes of light and resumed their inventory, touching the spoon I used and subtracting it from the sum of the spoons in the kitchen drawer. Thank you.